Do you never watch Fish Addictions TV?
No.
So I'm a killer, Thor.
That's what I meant. I'm not. Jim and I have only kissed.
We all hope to have the bush at some point in our life, whether it's on the water or not.
Intense.
Like a goddamn circus fire.
And now, coming at you live from the Fish Addiction Studio, your hosts, Mike Olson and Thor Skoy, with Fish Addictions, The Real Talk.
Are we live?
We are live.
Welcome back to another episode of The Real Talk. It has been too long. It's been a crazy summer. Got the
credibility.
Definitely been fishing. Definitely been putting a lot of hours on the lake. But work, fishing, work, family, baseball tournaments. It's all been happening. Guys, welcome back. And happy Father's Day. If you guys are out there and you are a father, if you didn't tell your father happy Father's Day, call him right now. So
Called my dad on the way out here.
did you?
Yep.
I called my dad on the way back from Devil's Lake. So we got it taken care of. But happy Father's Day to you fathers out there. We've been doing a lot of stuff since the last time we checked in with everybody. And I'm sorry. I know we said we were going to be doing this weekly. Things have been kind of like crazy. We've been all over the place since the last time. I don't even know if it's been 6 weeks, I think is what we said.
Yep.
Sorry. Very sorry.
Yeah, it's been a very long time, but there's been a few tournaments since then, a new transom since then, all sorts of stuff.
Well, it's crazy. We're here. We've been fishing. We've been working. We've kind of been all over the place. So we kind of want to just check in with everybody and let you know that we're going to come back at you on a more consistent basis than we have been via gone for 6 weeks. Before that, we were doing really good.
We were doing really, really well.
And then
the real world started.
Then life happened again. And again, happy Father's Day to all you guys out there. You know, part of the show is we don't really prepare for it. We come on here, we let you guys ask questions. We talk about current stuff that's going on.
I was taking a nap when you texted me to see if I wanted to do a podcast tonight. And I did not stop my nap before coming out here.
In all fairness, we've been talking about this for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
We took 2 weeks legitly off.
Yep.
Kind of in between. And then we were going to start it back up before the AIM Walleye Series started. We were actually going to do one from the hotel room day before the tournament. Didn't happen.
No.
And obviously, because here we are. And yeah, no excuses. But we're back. We're going at it. You guys out there, I do want to talk about that for a second. And I didn't grab one, but the rods we've been talking about forever, the Savage Gear Walleye Series rods are out. They're in stores. Loving them. Obviously, I'm a little partial to them. I had a big hand in developing them, but been very, very, very happy with that. We've been out traveling, doing tournaments. We had Big Stone, which was a crazy ordeal for me. I've never really fished Big Stone. It was the first tournament I've ever done there. I think I spent like a half a day on the water there once.
And you spent a pretty big chunk of that time pulling a crankbait out of a dog's nose.
Yeah. Because and it was just one of those things where I brought Jake. He was pretty little. So I want to say it was like 8-9 years ago. That lake has changed tremendously since then. And so we got there, pre-fished. Didn't really know exactly what we were going to get into. And we got into a situation of weeds. Like, that lake is so full of weeds. And gave ourselves like 2.5 days of pre-fishing, 3 days we'll call it, and actually found a pretty decent pattern going on. We were pitching shorelines, but really didn't figure out how to get those fish out of the weeds. So that tournament, hopefully you guys checked out the vlog from that. That did drop last week, and there'll be another vlog coming real soon. Actually, I think 2 out of this last one. We just got done with Mille Lacs last week. Quest for the Best, which I fished with Drake Hurd, and then the Weekend Walleye Series, which I fished with Eric McCoy. Had a fantastic time at both of those. Top 10, the Quest for the Best, which is always kind of the goal when you go into those big tournaments. I mean, that's a pretty fun tournament. They up the ante a little bit. It's a big buy-in with, big buy-ins mean big returns. So you win that one, it was $20,000. And there aren't many tournaments out there. In fact, that's probably the only one outside of the National Walleye Tour right now that I know of. It's just the Casino Cup is close. But that $20,000 payout, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And we went out to Mille Lacs, another place that I've ice fished a ton. I mean, I always find myself saying that is I've ice fished a lot of these places, but never really gotten on open water. So I'm kind of learning these lakes as we go. But we top 10 the Quest for the Best. Drake and I did on Sunday. We fell a couple pounds short to top 10ing, ended up just above middle of the pack, and I'm happy with that. But Mille Lacs is a crazy lake. Like, I don't know that I caught a fish less than 20 inches.
Really?
I don't remember catching a fish less than 20 inches. It's either 20 inches or 23 inches through the whole thing. And there was a few of the golden nuggets that were 27 to, well, in our
30
case,
and 3/4.
we got a 30 and 3/4 on day one of the Quest for the Best, which always helps your case. So we are going to have those videos out. I don't want to get too in depth with all that stuff, but we have been tournament fishing. We've been all over the place. If you guys got questions about certain lakes, we've been fishing Big Stone, Devil's Lake, Lake of the Woods, Mille Lacs, the lakes around Devil's Lake. I mean, we've kind of been all over the place. So if you guys got questions on them, now's the time to ask. Bassmaster Classic just happened. That's right in your wheelhouse.
I know, and I was running.
Jim Richter won it for the second year in a row.
Jim Richter?
Cherry. We have a little joke going on that he looks just like Jim Richter.
Yeah, Hank Cherry went back to back. I didn't get to watch it because I was filming on Mille Lacs.
You didn't watch any of it?
I watched a few minutes here and there, but out on the lake, the cell service isn't.
Yeah, but because you were out there, you got those big fish on camera.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, though. You brought your dad with you.
Yep. I had my dad now claims to be part of Team Fish Addictions because
You're welcome on board.
He was there. And it was a lot of fun having him out there and kind of getting him a chance to see what it's like to participate in tournaments like that.
I just broke my phone.
That might be expensive. Because he's never really participated in tournament fishing, and certainly not tournament fishing on that scale. So I think he had a lot of fun out in the boat. It was the day that he was out there. He was out on day one, the Thursday, and it was about as hot as it could have been that day. But I think he still had fun. I think he slept really well the next night.
Yeah,
because we left St. Cloud at 4:30 in the morning to get to Max in time for the takeoff.
It was a crazy swing. Like, so day one was dead calm.
Yep.
Not much of anything till the last hour or so.
And even then it wasn't bad.
No. And then day two was nasty.
Yeah.
And Sunday was really nasty.
Sunday, I was very glad that I drove the truck around the lake and launched from the other side, because that would not have been a fun ride in.
It's one of those things where, as a tournament angler, you embrace it and you just do it. I'm gonna use that as part of the excuses why we didn't do as well on Sunday.
Well, yeah,
because the technique we were using kind of depended on things being a little flat and calm. Get those fish up and out of the weeds and roaming and eating, because we were targeting those fish with live scope. Like, I would say on Mille Lacs, I would say 95% of the fish we caught, we saw with the live scope before we caught them. It was just a sharpshooting, basically. There it is, boom, right on them. And then they would eat. You got to see the whole thing happen. Pretty incredible. It was one of the first times that I'd had it work that successfully. It was, You saw a fish, that fish ate.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times you see a fish, you chuck at it, you can tell if it's going to eat or not. These fish ate right now.
It was cool to watch too, being in the camera boat, you know, seeing you and Drake each with a live scope, one in the front, one in the back, because you guys are a little spoiled. And, you know, just seeing you guys just staring at your screens and just going 50 feet and casting without even looking up ever. I don't think you guys looked up for more than 2 minutes.
The only thing you look up for is to be like, okay, 50 feet. Eye it up real quick. Get it.
Yeah.
Then you could tell right where it landed and if you're right on top of them or not. So we have a lot of things coming. We got Leech Lake in 3 weeks, the week after the 4th of July.
Yep.
August is full. We've got Duluth, which I'm not fishing. And then there's the Warrior.
Duluth that you're not fishing right now.
Thor is trying to talk me into it.
I'm just saying, if going up there means that you win Team of the Year, you're going.
Well, we're in 21st right now, and the guy leading it is doing pretty dang good. So congratulations to him. He's had 2 solid finishes for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're just checking in. We want to check in with you guys and just be like, wow, we're back. You know, we didn't give up on all this. I do want to talk about transition and that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of people's favorite time of year is coming where we're transitioning from pitching jigs and plastics and that kind of stuff to throwing, well, on Devil's Lake, for instance, we're throwing bobbers all year long with leeches as long as you can find leeches. But transitioning to spinners and crawlers and crankbaits, which is a lot of people's favorite time of year. Like, get out there, like, cover a lot of water, and the big fish really get active. Right now, out on Devil's Lake, guys are finding these in transition areas, and crawlers and spinners are working really well. A lot of guys are working with spinners and leeches as well. That's my fishing report for Devil's Lake. If you're going that way, make sure to have crawlers and leeches if you can find them. Don't be afraid to throw the slip bobber up in the trees or find a group of fish out there on some structure or something where they're a little concentrated. Throw a slip bobber on them. That slip bobbering is a lot of fun when it works and catch a lot of fish and some big fish.
Pulling crawler harnesses is probably my favorite way to walleye fish.
Put the rod in your hand and just
Relax.
Well,
because
drink a beer.
Well, because fishing is fun. The way that we fish is not always fun because it becomes work at some point. But there's something about you just put a crawler harness on your rod and you just kind of hang out and try to have fun there. You hang one up in a tree, you're out $1 or $2. You hang a crankbait up in a tree, you're out $12 or so. So it's one of those things where it can just be a little bit more relaxing.
I see Robert said Stump's the same way. Now, Stump Lake is an offshoot of Devil's Lake. A lot of times what's working on Stump is working on Devil's. That's not the case for all times. But any of these transition waters up in the Devil's Lake Basin, I'd like to call it, is transitioning over, especially when these water temps are getting to where they're at. They're getting to that 70-degree mark. I'm on the east end of the lake where my camper is. Those water temps are getting up there. So, yeah, I mean, I personally, if I'm taking my kid out, I'm probably going to cast for a while just because I love to do it. It keeps him busy.
Yep.
But when we decide, hey, we want to have a fish fry tonight, we're probably going and pulling spinners right now. Keep that in mind. Hey, you got to have a mindset when, especially on these lakes, where what do you want? Do you want to go try to catch 4 or 5 big ones, or do you want to go fill the cooler?
Right.
And filling the cooler right now, throw those 4-ounce bottom bouncers on. Drake would just absolutely love the fact that I just said 4-ounce bottom bouncers because I was a 2-ounce guy, but like in Devil's Lake and stuff, we keep it straight down, especially with all the snags and everything like that. You can feel it and kind of go up and over everything. A lot less snags, a lot less breakoffs with the 4-ounce. There's your tip: 4-ounce bottom bouncer. It seems like a lot, but man,
I feel like Drake might also be mad because I feel like you just gave up a secret.
He talks about it a lot.
But does he talk to you about it a lot, or does he tell the public about it?
Drake, if you're upset, I'm sorry. Get over it. It's out. I mean, 4-ounce bottom bouncers, 5 to 6 foot length on the spinners. This is my favorite color, if you can see it, for Devil's Lake. It's that yellow with the orange, like the perch stripes on it. This one does. I don't use the float very often. I use the other one, but that UV, that's my favorite color. And if you're going to Lake of the Woods, you should have this one, in my personal opinion. Love that color on Lake of the Woods. But right now, honestly, if I'm going to Lake of the Woods, I'm lead coring right now. Boom, gone. Lead core. Big fish. Love these big stick baits. And they can't resist them. Purples, whites, pinks, golds. Golds, there's a lot of guys that'll say are the pike catchers in Lake of the Woods. I still use gold quite often. Whites and pinks and purples are kind of my go-to. And depends on the day. Watch your graph. If the fish are tight down to the mud, stick those baits into the mud. The bill, your rod should be looking like it's catching the mud every once in a while, especially out there. Get those fish to trigger off the bottom. If they're up and out of there 2-3 feet off the bottom, I'm 2-3 feet above them. So you kind of got to look at your graph, pay attention to your graph. There's days that guys go out there and guys will run the same length out every day, all day. Change it up a little bit. Run those baits down into the mud. That doesn't ever hurt. Some of the biggest fish I have ever caught is putting those baits right into the mud.
I think Tabitha is wondering, how deep are you fishing with 4-ounce bottom bouncers? Is that a kind of everywhere?
Anywhere from 6 feet deep to 40 feet deep. The whole point of that heavy bottom bouncer is to keep more control over what you're doing. I personally, before 3 years ago, never had run a 4-ounce bottom bouncer in my life. And we were up at Lake of the Woods for the championship, fishing 7 feet of water on rocks and using 4-ouncers. And we were able to feel those rocks. And even if you did catch, you had enough time to bring your rod back and up and over, like get it out so you're not snagging up in it. If you're running 2-ounce, your line's coming back, so you don't have that opportunity to come back and up, where the 4-ouncer, it's running pretty much straight down, gives you that opportunity to come up. So try those heavier weights. And honestly, obviously, the more time your bait's in the water, the more fish you're probably going to catch. It doesn't seem to hurt anything like that. So massive bug hatch going on Lake of the Woods right now. Now, a lot of guys, that deters them. It's going to make fishing a little tougher. But those fish still need to eat. And that's a lot of times during a bug hatch is when I'll slow things down just a little bit. With lead core, I'll run 2 to 2.5 to even sometimes almost 3 miles an hour. And I will go on when there is a big bug hatch. I will first off downsize my presentation from those big stick baits to a shad style bait and really run them right into the bottom, really kick up, really do that kind of stuff. And it really seems to work. Or I'll go total drastic and go to a crawler and just a slow death hook and just crawl that thing 0.5 to 0.8 at max. And just, you'll see those schools still right in all the big bug things. Slow it down with a half a crawler. I never use a full crawler on a slow death hook, and really seems to work and seems to trigger those bites. Now I'm going to go back to size. It depends what you're after. If I'm after a cooler full of fish, I'm going to go to that slow death hook. That's what I'm going to start with. If I'm after big fish, I'm going to go to the crankbaits. Other thing about Lake of the Woods is it's such a big area. There might be a giant bug hatch going on in one area and not the other. Mm-hmm. So it's worth kind of checking that stuff out and seeing, see what's going on in each area. But a bug hatch, it's going to make things a little more difficult. It's just what it is. But you should be able to still catch fish during a bug hatch. You just got to find out what's triggering them during that.
You mix in more hair jigs during bug hatches?
If I'm fishing rocks, I'll do hair jigs. But for some reason, I've never done that outside of like rocky areas and rock transition points and stuff like that. And it's not that they probably won't work. It's just something else is working probably at that point, or I found fish on rocks.
Right.
But crawlers are a big thing during bug hatches, because we're matching the hatch type thing. You get a crawler down there and half a crawler and it's spinning down there real slow. Those fish eat it. They're full, but it takes a lot of bugs to get full compared to if they get a perch or something like that.
I've only gone fishing one time since we were on Big Stone.
It's because you were too busy filming fishing. We caught a ton of fish on Mille Lacs.
Yeah.
It was unreal. It's just like literally, like, I don't know what Mille Lacs is going to do when these 20-inch fish have run their course. I mean, I hope that they have another couple hatches, a good years coming. That lake is abundant with 20 to 23-inch fish. It is unreal. I mean, they're savages.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago where a 40+ pound bag was what it would take to win a tournament like we were fishing. And we knew 2 days into pre-fish, like I hadn't been there, Drake hadn't been there. We looked at each other 2 days into pre-fish and said, 37 is going to win this. If you can get 37 a day. We were off by a pound, but I think it was like, actually we weren't even off by a pound. It was like 37 and a half. Right. Average won that quest for the best of 2-day tournament. And it's very obvious that there are some big fish in there, but
they were skinny. We
were hoping for 25-inch fish with one kicker every day. Of day one, we had 24-inch fish with 2 kickers. We had 28 and a 30 3/4. But when that 30 3/4, I don't want to ruin too much of it, but when it came up, I looked at Drake. I said, "Get the goddamn net. We got a unicorn." I was like, holy man.
Yeah.
I didn't know these existed in this lake still, because we had caught so many fish, and we'd catch a random 26-incher and a random 27-incher in pre-fish, but never caught over. And we ended up catching 2 over that in the first day of that tournament, which obviously helps. And day 2, we lost a couple that were good, but that's fishing.
And somebody on day 2 caught your 30 3/4 again.
That is unbelievable. If you guys haven't seen that, look at that. So I caught a 30 3/4 on day 1, and like 100 and some yards away from where we were fishing, another group of guys caught the same fish. And the next day, like very next day. And that's part of AIM. Like, grab the fish, take a picture, take another picture, put it back. It swims for another person to catch it. And unfortunately, those people caught it the next day. And it is what it is. That's awesome. That's why we do AIM. That's why it's gotten so much traction. Did AIM actually post that?
They did. AIM posts a lot of stuff, so I gotta see if I can find it again. But they definitely did.
If you guys haven't checked out what AIM's all about, you should do that. It's a pretty cool tournament series. I know there's a lot of people that talk about, length to weight and that they're off and this and that. It really doesn't matter, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a weight system that everybody has to go through, the same deal. They can't obviously do a different length to weight for every single lake they fish, right?
Right.
And they're never going to get everybody happy. But overall, I mean, I was not sure I really like this type thing to begin with, like years ago when it first happened. But you grow to understand that it's more about length, not about anything else, right? And these fish, we're showcasing some big fish, and it gives us a chance to go to lakes like Mille Lacs, like Lake of the Woods, that have these slot limits, these big slot limits, or no keep at all type areas that have good walleye fishing, that allow us to fish these waters as tournament anglers that we all want to fish.
Right, because otherwise you're simply not having a walleye tournament on Mille Lacs.
No, not now, not at all. I mean, it's a no keep, and if you were, what are you going to do? Weigh one?
Right. It'd be kind of cool though.
Weigh one fish.
It'd be kind of cool.
But I think it has to be between 20 and 23 or something like that. I don't remember the actual.
Yeah.
You got to catch the biggest 23-incher. That'd be interesting, I guess.
Sort through 23s until you find, you're winning by hundredths of an ounce.
That would be pretty intense.
One of those ones where you got to really make sure it doesn't throw up in your live well on the way back in.
Zip tie its mouth shut. I heard of guys doing that like years and years and years ago. They used to do that like in these big bodies of water where they'd be full of gobies on Green Bay or something like that. They zip tie their mouths shut. I'm not going to say who told me that because I'm sure they're not. It was a long time ago, not any time within the time frame that we are working in right now.
Well, I've seen in bass tournaments down south during shad bites where guys have lost tournaments by a few ounces because their big fish has thrown up a half-pound shad in the live well, or even in the weigh bag waiting to get their fish weighed at the end of the tournament.
I can't remember if it was Max Wilson. It was somebody on Devil's Lake was fishing an MWC event. And on the way in, they open up the live well, and there's an 11-inch perch in their live well that one of the fish had coughed up.
Oh.
And I don't think it ended up hurting them in the end, but an
11-inch perch is a substantial amount of weight.
Yeah,
in tournaments
sure.
that are usually close.
Yes. So guess zip tie their mouth shut. I don't know. No, don't do that. And you can do whatever you want, but don't do it because I said it. I'm just talking out my butt here from an old tale that I was told years back. They used to zip tie their mouth shut every once in a while. Oh, you guys been out fishing? Where have you been, and how's things been going for you guys? It's been a crazy summer. We've had a lot of hot streaks. We've had a few cold streaks. We had finally got rain today, which was $1 million rain for everybody involved. No matter what you do in life, this rain was needed, whether your grass was burning up or your fields were burning up or your creeks were running dry and your lakes are running low.
And it was like that nice rain too, where it wasn't like a storm.
It was like 10 hours of just nice rain,
of
like
just
nothing crazy.
Yeah. Like almost a perfect rain.
And we don't get that very often.
No, we usually get the storms.
So if you guys got any questions, go ahead, wrap them off. We'll see if we can answer them. Maybe we can't. Stump us.
Right? Or if anybody has a Warrior 2090 that they want to sell.
Yeah, Thor is in the market for a Warrior 2090. Put the word out there. He wants one.
There
are no boats anywhere out there.
I know. There's not even a boat in my driveway right now.
Oh, yeah. Thor hit a log?
A log or a rock or
he hit something hard.
Going fast. And there's
happens when you drive a fast boat.
There's an 18-inch crack in my transom now. So
he's lucky the motor didn't rip off.
Well, if the motor would have ripped off, though, I'd probably have a new boat sitting in my driveway because that would have been a for sure total loss, and we wouldn't be waiting still to find out.
Well, you'd be fishing a boat out of the bottom of a lake, probably.
Yeah, but it would have been Big Stone. It's only 12 feet deep. Like if there's a lake to sink a boat on, it's probably Big Stone.
True.
Yeah, it's not like you're sinking it in 100 feet of water.
How's the new boat? Love the boat. Now you guys you remember that I love my boat so much I get the same exact thing every single year. I think this is the 4th year in a row I've had the 208 with the 350 Zook on it. It's running good. Things are getting dialed in. Love fishing big water. I mean, it was really rough on Mille Lacs on Sunday of that tournament. I shouldn't say really rough, but it was pretty rough. It's a lot of fun to drive that thing and I know you said you went all the way around because you were driving a tiller and you're new to the tiller life.
Yeah.
So you didn't want to go through there, which I don't blame you.
And it was somebody else's tiller.
Yeah. True. When there was a launch like a mile away from where we were actually fishing.
It was like maybe half a mile. I didn't even put the boat on plane.
Huh?
On Sunday. Like when we launched, it just kind of idled out to where you guys were fishing. It was that close.
That's nice.
It really was.
But back to the boat. I mean, in my opinion, and this is my humble opinion, that thing is just a wave crusher. I love it. And, a lot of guys are always like, well, how fast does it go? 56-ish, 57, 58 on a good day, 55, 56 every day with a tournament load. It is not the fastest thing on water, but it is when there's 3 and 4 footers. And you're going
seems like there normally is.
It does seem like that, right? But I'm not getting blown away by anybody either. There's a lot of faster boats out there. I just absolutely love the storage in that boat, to the ski pole for the family, to the jump seats. We really should get our walkthrough done on that boat. We kind of did one that'll be coming pretty soon. But those 208s are pretty awesome. I've got the trim tabs on mine with the 350 Suzuki, and outfitted it a little bit different this year with live scope and that kind of stuff. I've got the turn scope on it this year, so I've got that just right on my trolling motor, so I can electronically turn the live scope, which I'm not 100% sold. I like it, but I'm not like that's the exact way it needs to be done. I don't think there is like an absolute this is the thing for like this live scope technology and this live technology in general for any companies. A lot of people ask me about that. I get text messages all the time about what should I use. I have 3 different mounts right now for live scope that I'm using on my boat. I've used the turn scope the most this year, more because of the style we were using in Mille Lacs. But we also used the fin gear mount at the same time. And it works. There's pros and cons to all of them. By the way, that fin gear mount is pretty legit. I should go grab it and show you guys. It's pretty awesome. Those guys have done a great job on just shoring everything up. There are some mounts out there that are really wobbly when they're in the mount and not that easy to turn. And with as many questions as we get, I think everybody's kind of adapted to the ice fishing thing. The mounts out there are pretty self-explanatory, but when you put a mount on a boat and you start trolling or moving, and
it's a different game.
It's a total different game in the boat than it is on ice. So you got to have something super rigid. You got to have something that's easy to use, because you're locating that fish and you're going to the fish with the rod, where ice fishing, it's like, oh, they're there. You're walking over, you're drilling a hole, you're on top of them. Here, we're not wanting to be right on top of these fish. We want to be 30 to 50 feet away from these fish so they aren't spooked or not going to eat because of the boat. Now, obviously, there are times when you're in deeper water, like in the Mille Lacs, we were fishing, 10 to 17 feet right in that area. And we didn't want to be on top of those fish. And it's really clear in Mille Lacs, like that you can see a long ways down, which is something I wasn't prepared for right away, because like I said, I've never really open water fished Mille Lacs.
It's like crazy how clear it is from those zebra mussels.
Yeah, it's really, really clear. Which I was surprised the fish bit as well as they did, but in the bite that we had going on with weeds involved, that helped, and those fish came up and out of the weeds, and when you saw them, they were eating every time, pretty dang near every time. But in a boat, you want a lot, and then this is a misconception because guys are used to using the live scope on ice. When you're in the boat, you want to go to them, cast to them, put whatever presentation you have in front of them, and not go to them with the boat. Keep away from them. You can even see once in a while where you cast and hit right on top of them, and that would spook them. So you had to cast over them and bring it back to them.
Yeah. JT 10th in the quest for the best, and
42nd, I think, in the other one. Sunday was
low in the weekend series.
Yeah, we were 1 fish off in the weekend series.
43rd. Got
a little rough for us. Our bite that we had in those weeds, we needed, it's not an excuse, but it's going to be my excuse today, is we needed less wind. What I find a lot of times when fish are in those weeds, especially as thick of weeds as we were fishing, they just weren't there. And then a lot of times they'll slide just outside of them, and those bigger fish were gone. And we got one 26-incher, a card full of 24s. We had a decent bag, not the one that we needed, but.
So just kind of connected the dots here, because I don't walleye fish, but I know walleye chop is a thing. You guys like wind. This is back-to-back tournaments, though, where the wind has messed up your walleye bite.
The first one, we needed the wind because
it was just a different wind that you got.
Big Stone, we needed wind because we needed that wind to be pushing into that point and that shoreline where these fish were stacking up. And without the wind, they weren't pushing up onto it. On Mille Lacs, we were fishing weed fish, and a lot of times those weed fish don't like to be ripped around in the weeds. They rub their bellies on the weeds, whatever. They like to come out of them a little bit. We didn't find them. Everything happened the way it was supposed to on Quest for the Best. And yeah, just about time. I don't know what that means.
29 pounds or just under 29 pounds won on Sakakawea today.
That's a good bag out there, though.
Pretty heavy bag. And it dropped off fast. That would have been a fun tournament. Should have done that one.
So it's just a long ways.
It's a
And family time. It's family weekend, Father's Day. You commit to one and do that, and try to do that as well as you can.
Yeah. It's such a long drive to get out there to fish anything on the western side of the state. We get a ton of texts and DMs and stuff about when are we going to come out west and fish, and we'd love to. But it is a huge commitment to get over there.
It's just there's so many other things going on between trying to film, trying to do work, trying to make sure you balance the family life in the summer, because in the winter we're gone.
Yeah,
and it's just one of those things. Or we committed to the Minnesota AIM series, and that's where we're going with it, right? And we fished the Quest for the Best. We've done 2 AIMs now. We've got another one in 2 weeks, and anybody that tournament fishes knows that it's not just go fish every tournament you want. I mean, we could show up and just fish them, but at that point, it's not really why we're there.
It's a real gamble.
We're not going to go fish them just to fish them.
Right. You'd like to practice and plan to do well. And because as Kevin Van Dam said, if you don't think you're going to win, why go?
We don't fish them. Well, some guys fish just to have fun. Other guys fish. I fish to have fun, but I fish because I would like to do well in them as well. Like I've always said, the fishing tournament thing, no matter what fishing tournament is, brings out the competitive side in a guy, and I'm getting too old and fat to play sports and that kind of stuff anymore. So I get my competitive edge. I get my competitive fix, I guess, from tournament fishing, and it is not easy.
I was invited to go play softball on Tuesday, like 2 days from now, just if there's a certain umpire that's out there, just so that I can yell at the umpire to get myself ejected. My temper was requested.
Oh boy. We won't even get into slow pitch softball.
It gets heated.
I know.
But yeah, it's been a busy summer. We're gonna start doing these more consistently again. Some better planning.
Yeah, we just wanted to really jump on and let you guys know we were still live and that we're still kicking and still doing stuff. And we're gonna have some guests on. We got Larry Smith coming on one day. We've got the guys from Outdoor Getaway coming on at some point here soon. If you guys didn't know, Big Bite Fish Houses has changed their name to the Outdoor Getaway to more represent the full rounded line that they have for camping and fishing and ice, whatever you want to use it for, hunting,
ice
going
fishing.
with the family. They've got the RV editions. They've got all that stuff. So definitely go check those guys out. He's made a big move by changing that name, and we want to support him. He makes great ice houses. They've got an awesome facility there, and I think it's really cool because you basically are working with a company that the owner has his hands on those ice houses, every single one that goes out the door. I think that's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, and it'd be fun to get Max Wilson in on a show.
He's a busy man.
Right. He really is. But I bet we can make it happen.
Yeah.
And we still need to get Drake Hurd on the show.
Drake. Yep. Drake's a busy boy. He's out in Erie right now. And the National Walleye Tour is going to kick off this week, Thursday and Friday. Not kick off, but they're Erie, and Drake is leading. Very good friend of mine. Obviously, I've traveled with him for the last 3 years in the National Walleye Tour, him and Robert. Drake is leading Angler of the Year right now by, I think, 5 points.
It's a very narrow margin.
It's a very narrow margin, but he's got to do well in this one, which obviously he's a great fisherman. He's shown that so far this year, and he's very capable of doing it. And I honestly think if he can come out of this one still leading AOY, that he's got a really, really good chance, because it goes back to his style of fishing back when they go to, I think it's, they go back down to Oahe, I think, and fish there, or they're down in South Dakota again on the Missouri River, and you know he's a hell of an angler and he can figure it out. But all those guys are that fish. I'm missing the crap out of fishing that, but I totally.
Yeah, but you get that extra family time. Now.
I know, it's awesome. I'll do it again, but it's a lot of fun to watch that happen. And I got to spend 4 days with them, 5 days with them in the boat for the Quest of the Best, and we talked a lot about it. And we didn't talk a lot about it because it was kind of one of those things that's stressing him out. And when you're leading Angler of the Year for one of the biggest tournament series there is for walleyes, it is the biggest tournament series there is for walleyes right now. I mean, you can debate that with head to head, which is kind of cool, and put on a big show out at Mille Lacs too. Mille Lacs got hit hard for about 12 days.
Arguably, all of the best walleye fishermen were on Mille Lacs in that 12-day window.
Oh yeah, crazy.
I mean, at least a huge majority of them were out there at some point in 12 days.
You could tell. Even like we didn't fish a tournament that Saturday, but there was another tournament Saturday. Like, so a lot of guys fished tournament Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all the way through.
Yeah.
And you could tell that those fish had been beat up on pretty good.
So,
well, I think we really just wanted to touch base with everybody and let you know that we're still alive. We're still here. We're going to get more consistent with it. We're going to get people on to talk to. We're going to come back at you guys. I hope you guys are all doing well. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. And yeah, this is Fish Addictions, the Real Talk, and we're going to see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
The Farmer's Tan.